Every project starts with a system. Open the system hierarchy and click AI Generate. Describe your product in plain English. Here, a smart door lock. And the platform interviews you with a few short questions, then proposes a complete breakdown: system, subsystems, boards, right down to components. Review it and create it. In under a minute, you have the skeleton a program normally spends weeks assembling. Now give the platform something to work from. Open the Requirements tool. It is already pointed at your main control board. Choose Generate with AI, describe what the board must do, and click Generate. In about a minute, you get a structured, categorized set of requirements, each with a traceable ID and checked against design input standards. A day of writing in 90 seconds. You don't have to hand everything to the AI. Every tool has a build-it-yourself path. On this subboard, start a blank requirements document and add one by hand. And the agent is right there in the doc when you want it. Ask it to draft a requirement and to trace this subboard up to its parent on the main control board. That cross-level link is captured the moment you ask, so your requirements stay connected across the whole V-model, whether you write them yourself or with the agent. Real design decisions are trade-offs, and reviewers want to see they were made deliberately. Open the Pugh trade study, describe the choice, here which microcontroller to use, and the platform scores the options against weighted criteria and recommends one. A defensible decision, on the record, in a minute. Next, surface risk. A design FMEA identifies how each part can fail, how severe it is, and what mitigates it, scored so the highest risk items rise to the top. The safety analysis critical products need, generated from the same understanding of your board. Capture the architecture as a living block diagram. Describe the board, and the platform lays out the blocks and the typed connections between them, power, data, and control, that an interface control document is then derived from. Every requirement has to be verified. The design verification plan lays out the tests: functional, environmental, life, and safety, each tied back to what it proves, closing the loop from what the product must do to the evidence that it does. Everything you've built is one connected model, and you can read it from both directions. Open a requirement, and its traceability tells the whole story. This board requirement derives from its parent up in core electronics, and downstream it is implemented by a block, verified by a DVP test, and analyzed in the DFMEA. Full bidirectional trace captured as you worked, and it all rolls up. Open your System Root and the System Model tab and refresh. Verification coverage computed straight from those tests, the traceability matrix, and AI insights flagging exactly what still needs attention. The program picture that normally takes a dedicated tool and a team to maintain, ready to export for a review. And an autonomous agent can drive all of it. Open the agent, start a session, and ask in plain English, here, to audit the requirements against the design FMEA. It reads your model, works across the tools, and brings back what it finds. When it changes a document, that change arrives as a proposal you review and merge, never a silent edit. And there's more in the toolbox. Management gives you a stage-gate checklist, a ConOps, a risk register, and a SEMP to run the program. Requirements: to capture and flow down every spec. Concept: SWOT, Pugh trade studies, flowcharts, and block diagrams. Preliminary design with interface control documents. Detailed design: DFMEA and PFMEA, a design verification plan, root cause analysis, and an implementation workspace that reviews your real schematics, simulations, and PCBs. Fabrication and sourcing, BOM completion, procurement, and Gerber analysis, plus engineering calculators tied to your hierarchy. Same pattern everywhere, describe it, generate, review, and it all lands on one connected model. And whatever tool you are in, the same controls set on every document. Search and filter by keyword or ID. Export to PDF, Word, or Excel for a formal deliverable. Branch a follow-on to explore a change without touching the main. And every save is a revision. Open the history, compare any two, and the diff panel shows exactly what changed, added, removed, and edited line by line. Version control and change management built in. You never leave the tool to manage your work. Finally, lock it in. Every document uses the same change-controlled loop. Submit it for review, route it to a teammate, disposition their comments, and baseline it. From that point, the agent and your team work against a frozen reference, and your whole program stays traceable, from the first requirement to the last verification. That is a product built end-to-end in one afternoon.